Hello, how are you? This is Rosa, rcgkreations. How's it going? Let's see, can you see me? Hi, hi, hi. How are you doing? We're making a different type of dinner. I have never done this. I've done this dinner before, and let me get you closer so you can see. But I'm changing the main product, which is the meat. I went ahead and got this steak. I forget what you call it again. But it's so yummy. We've had it before, but we had it in a different method. And I put it in my crock pot last night. Let me get this out of the way. I'm boiling some hot water so I can have some hot ginger. I'm making, we buy the crystallized ginger. You boil it in boil some hot water. Drop some ginger in there. You let it simmer for like 5 minutes. Then you drink it while it's still pretty warm. And it helps soothe your throat. And ginger is good for soothing your throat, helping with your congestion, helps relieve your congestion, helps an upset stomach, helps with diarrhea. A lot of different properties. So anyway, get back to the main program. We're going to be making enchiladas, but we're doing it with this type of meat. And as you can tell, there's the little fat parts on it. And I'm going to bring you up here so you can see. There's where I just got too tired last night. I couldn't put up with it, so I just left it in here. I'm going to wash it out now. And because I left it all night long, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to clean, but that's on me. So that's the leftovers, and all I did was put a pint jar of chicken broth. Excuse me, I'm sorry, beef broth. Put a pint jar of beef broth in there. And then I put my steak inside the whole thing. No salt, no pepper, no nothing, no other seasonings. Just that. Cover the lid. Put it on high, because I did it yesterday right after work. Put it on high. You let it simmer for about 4 to 6 minutes. 46 hours. And depending on the thickness of your meat, determines if you need 4 or if you need 6 hours. Because it's got to go and cook all the way through to the meat. And you see that? So it's it has cooked all the way through. So now what I'm going to do is sit at my table. I'm going to shred it, remove the fat because I can't handle fat. Then I'm going to shred it, and then that's what's going to be the inner casing of our enchiladas, and the rest will be the same of the enchilada sauce mix. Let me bring you back over here to my table where I'm at. And, whoops. Whew. I'm already a tired puppy and it's early in the morning. Not early. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to shred that, but I'm not going to have you sit there and watch me do that. I'll put a link to my, I got this little shredder thing that I got from Temu, which really works fantastic. But because this is such a small amount, I'm just going to use 2 forks, and I'm going to shred it, and that's it. Drain my broth from my crock pot. Scrape up as much as I can of the coating. Throw that broth away because it's no good now. And put that pot in the sink to soak so I can get ready to scrub and wash it clean. So I'll bring you back when we come to the next phase after all this is shredded. And I'll put my enchiladas all together to get it ready to bake in the oven because that's what we're going to eat for dinner tonight. So we'll bring you back when we get to that next phase, okay? Okay, we are back. With all that meat, after it took off all the fat, this is all that we had left. It looks pretty on the outside, but once they flip it over, which is what most marketing places do, there's no fat. So now I have my casserole dish, and I just use my old faithful glass casserole dish. I'm going to spray it so it doesn't stick. Get a clean washcloth. I just rinsed this off. And wipe around the edge. Whether you're doing glass or metal. When you do this, while it's in the oven baking, it gets all dark and crusty. That's an extra chore of cleanup to clean it up. Because mine, as you can see, is very old. It's a good 20-25 years old. But look, it's not all yucky, crusty, and all this are over here and on the edges. Because this is what I do every time I use it. And even when I tell hubby when he's cooking, spray the pan, then wipe the top lid up, wipe the rim off and the handles. And then I get another part of the towel that hadn't been used, and I wipe it again because, you know, grease does smear. And all I'm doing is wiping the top part off to help. I'm going to go in the sink so I can wash it and reuse it for another project. And I'm just using, I'm doing the lazy way method. I'm just using a can of enchilada sauce. We love this brand. We buy this at our local grocery store, Food Town. It's a discount store, but it's mostly Hispanic food. All the employees speak Spanish. But we like to go there strictly for the meat, the prices on the meat. And they have a variety. And the biggest reason, 98% reason why we go there is the prices. Are definitely a lot lower than our local H-E-B or Kroger. And they have a lot of the exact same products. They have name brand products. Then they have these off-brand products made in Mexico or another foreign country. But as far as I'm concerned, like anything else, you do your own research. You do your own shopping. And I'm adding a generous amount of salsa because we like our tortillas soft. So I'm putting a generous amount. I'm going to bring this up because I know you can't see. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring you down because you don't need to see me do this. You need to see the food itself. Let me bring it down so y'all can see the food itself. And store-bought corn tortillas. These make great. These are little silicone ties. These are perfect for stuff like this. You don't have to worry about that twisty tie. You know, those twisty ties, after a while, they fall apart on you. I already wiped down my table, so I know it's clean and sanitized. So I feel comfortable in putting my food on my counter. My little island. And let me see that. I've done 2 layers. I call this lazy man enchiladas, but they're called stacking enchiladas technically. And then I get another tortilla, break it in half, and I put that one down the center of the 2. So now all the sides have gotten tortilla on it. Then I sprinkle my meat. Normally I use ground beef just because it's cheaper, but this meat, Food Town had it on special, and it was a fantastic price. So, and I am not much of a steak eater. Hubby is, but I am not. And so I gave him one for him to do what he wanted with, and I go, one's mine. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I kind of figured I was going to be making street tacos with it. These are also great for, you know, any kind of meat dish. But something if you want, it's nice to have and get away from using ground beef all the time. Yes, ground beef is cheaper. Yes, I know that, but the steak just adds a different texture, flavor, and I know this is cooked. It's wonderful. And remember, in the beginning of the video, all I did was simmer it in my crock pot. Actually, I didn't simmer it. I cooked it for 4 hours on high in my crock pot with no seasonings whatsoever, just a jar of beef broth. Man, you don't need any seasoning on this thing. It's fantastic. Okay, so now let me get my cheese. I just took out a bag, but it's still frozen. We buy cheese by the bulk. I get it from Azure. And then we shred as we go. And all I do, because it's the 2 of us, I just shred and I label what kind of cheese it is on the baggie. And then I just shred, depending on how many brands, flavors of cheese that I have. And I try not to dig my hand in the baggie because I may not use all of this cheese. And I want to be able to put this back and not cross-contaminate the inside of the baggie. Now, if I know I'm almost done, like this one, I know I'm totally done. I'm going to be using all this cheese. I will stick my hand in there, not a big deal. But I don't want too much on that first layer. So I'm going to put this cheese over here. Going to let it thaw out because I know I'll be using both of these. And then our regular fridge. Hubby likes cheese on all kinds of stuff. And then he'll put some cheese, some shredded cheese on the top of his enchiladas. I don't, because I think this is enough cheese for me. But you know what? You do you, and you make it the way you want to make it. Okay, this is your kitchen. It's your house, your rules. I'm just here to bring you along as I'm learning how to do stuff. Now I'm going to add another layer of the sauce. If I had my way, I'd have some chopped fresh onions in here, but hubby can't handle onions. He don't like them. You could even add some colored peppers for added flavor. But ours are just going to be the plain. And that works for us, and we're good to go with that. And like I said, we like our enchiladas saucy, moist. Now I'm going to do my second layer. Now I'm going to repeat the same steps. Put that one there and that one there. So now we got one whole layer. And now I'm going to put all of this meat. Okay, this dish only has enough room for 2 layers. And of course, you use a bigger dish, a taller dish. You can go 3 or 4 layers, however how much food you have and how big your container is. But I'm going to grab all that meat. I'm not going to save anything on that plate because this meat is expensive. Not expensive, but no sense in wasting it. I can eat it. Now I'm just going to spread it out evenly. And you want to get the meat in the corners and the grooves because it bakes. It's going to put all that in there. Sprinkle my cheese. Throw this one in the garbage. That one's done. You know how you always get your little clumps in the shredder. It's going to melt easily. But hubby really likes cheese, so let me add some more cheese in there. And I'm going to use this because I know this will be on the top layer because we're going to put cheese on the top layer once we're done. So I'm putting my hand in here in this bag because I'm going to be using all of this cheese. And if, of course, you don't like so much cheese, don't put so much. Or if you can't handle your cheese, skip it altogether. But there's nothing, for me, as far as I'm concerned, enchiladas require cheese of some kind. And whatever cheese you want to make, this is our Azure raw milk cheddar cheese. But it's white. It's cheddar cheese, but it's white. It's not yellow. But it tastes just like cheddar cheese. We really enjoy it. There we go. Layered it all over. That'll be for my top layer. Now I'm put me another layer of sauce. And the one good thing about this is because you put your pre-cooked meat, whatever meat it is, you want to make sure it's cooked and drained so you don't have extra grease in your meal on your plate. And all we're doing now would be reheating this so you could serve it up nice and warm. But technically, if you wanted to, you could eat it just like it is right now. I personally wouldn't care for that. But if you were in a pinch or if you were somewhere where you did not have a heat source, you could definitely easily eat this just the way it is right now. Would it taste as good? Of course not, because it's not cooked. It's not all melted. The cheese is not all melted. And part of the ooey gooiness is having all these cheese melt in between the sauce and the meat. And that's what you want, you like. Because remember, these are enchiladas. Now we're going to put the top layer, or tortilla. I just need 2 more. And if you wanted to, just to make it look pretty, if you were going to display this, leave it just like that. But I like tortilla over everything. That's just me. I didn't cut that straight. And you know this little extra piece, I'm not going to waste it. I'm just going to tuck it underneath in the corners here. Now I'll put some more of my sauce. And it's going to be all over the tortilla. Then you're going to put foil up, wrap some foil over it. Close it tight, snug, just on the edges of the top of the container that you're using, your casserole dish, whatever pan you're using. I know some people do it in cookie sheets. You use what you have. Don't make any special effort. You just use what you have. And I want to make sure that I coat all of my tortilla before I put the extra just in between the crevices of the tortillas. So it's all coated. Now I have extra sauce. I'm not going to use all of this sauce. And I'm going to freeze the extra. Label my jar. Stick it in the freezer. And I will thaw it out the next time I need some enchilada sauce. Because a lot of times I end up making this in 2 batches. But since I only had 1 piece of steak, I knew this would only be 1 batch. But to save time, I like to make 2 batches at a time. And 1 can typically is enough for 2 batches because I don't make it so saucy. But I'm running out of freezer space, so I don't have much room. I don't have room for a big container. It's got to be a little bitty container. So I'm going to try to use extra sauce on this batch because we like it that way anyway. But we're done. And my jar, I've got about right there left, so a little bit less than half of my jar. I don't know if you can see that is left over, and I'm going to put that in a container. Let me get my spiel of my cheese. And again, like I said, since I have a clean table, I'm comfortable doing this because I know I disinfected my table before I started. Crumble up that big chunk. I will put the full recipe ingredients and the directions in the description box, but I'm pretty sure it's 425 for 30 minutes, and that's just enough time for it to be ooey gooey. I cook mine because I like my tortillas to be soft. So I leave my foil on while it's baking. That's just me. I know some people don't, they cook it without the foil on top. I would say try it both ways and see which way you and your family like it. And then start making it that way. I used to just do it without the foil. Then when I started learning how to bake from scratch, everybody was sitting there saying they like it with the foil, so I tried it, and actually hubby and I prefer it with the foil. And you see this last little bit of cheese that's left over? Hubby will put that on the very top, because after you take the foil off, sometimes the cheese sticks on top of the foil as it's baking, which is okay, not a big deal. And then he'll sprinkle some of this cheese on top of his meal while it's on his plate, because he loves the cheese. I'm just taking out these last little pieces of cheese that fell on my counter, and ours is set and ready to go. So there is our meal. I would say overall 45 minutes you're said and done, besides the prepping time of cooking your meat, and you're ready to eat about 30 to, I would say, good 45 minutes, because it does take time to prep and lay everything over, and then you got your 30-minute baking time. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye. Well, hello. This is Rosa, rcgkreations. How you doing? How's it going? This is my third meal for the day. Prepping for next week. It's cold. It's winter. It's December. I just want to be doing a bunch of cooking. So, I'm making... Number one, I had to get rid of some stuff that was in my fridge because it was coming really close time to get it used up. So, I just threw a bunch of stuff together. Going to be making some cabbage soup. Put it here in the crock pot. See that? Yum, 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 yum. And all it is I got 3 pint jars because we're empty nesters, so it's just me and hubby, so it's for us. It's easier just to cook in pint jars when I can my products, because it's just me and him. But of course you can can in quarts, but we did the pints. So I got 3 pints of jars of vegetable broth, no water. I sliced and diced my cabbage. See, there it is right there. Whoops. I got a package that was already in the freezer that had been there way too long. Veggies that were frozen. Look at that. See the ice on there? Let me get you closer. See that ice on there? And then I diced some fresh potatoes. I could have used my canned potatoes, but I needed to hurry up because they were getting eyes on the potatoes. So I just diced up the last 3 that we had. Thursday's grocery day. And this is going to be enough for at least 4 meals for us. 4, maybe 5. Just depends on how much we eat. But this is going to be a hearty soup. There's no meat in it. And I did that on purpose. But I already got my starches up of potatoes. And, of course, the cabbage and all the nutrients of the cabbage. Which is why we're drinking it. Just to help. You know, it doesn't help to boost your immune system. So this is going to sit on high for 5 hours. And I'm going to come in and stir it about every hour. Just to stir it to make sure all the potatoes get in there and they get simmering. Because as you can see, I got a full pot. But of course, the longer it sits and cooks, the smaller the cabbage will go. And it'll go down. And then I'll bring you back when we do the taste test. So we'll bring you back on that. And just actually, we're going to bring you back tomorrow. Because when this is done, right after 5 hours, turn that off. Let it sit here overnight. Let it cool down on its own. Put it together in the morning. Dish it up in containers. Freeze some of this stuff. Okay, and then we'll do the taste test tomorrow. Okay, we'll bring you back when we come ready for the taste test. This is going to be a quickie little video. It's actually going to be an addition to the one that I did earlier with my enchiladas. Because I made some enchiladas from scratch with... we're not using ground beef. I'm letting you, just a different version of making enchiladas, and it was with a round steak, but it was a thick round steak that I cooked in the canner with some beef broth. So that's all it was beef broth, the steak, and I cooked it for 4 hours, and that was it. And then I shredded it, put it apart, and you'll see the rest of it on that enchilada video. So we'll catch you when we do the taste test. This taste test on this one's going to be a little bit different than when I do my taste test for the enchiladas, because enchiladas are going to be tomorrow's lunch. Okay, we'll bring you back.